We are pleased to announce the SmartBuilder 4.8 release. We have a variety of new enhancements and bug fixes, and we'll touch on the big ones in this video. The first thing that you'll notice is this action tutorial. This is mostly meant for new SmartBuilder users, so it basically just walks people through how to create some objects and set up some actions. If you already know what you're doing, or if you've run through it once, you can always click this Don't Show Again option. So let's take a look at some of the new features. The first one is improving object naming. So when we add a new object, such as a text object or a button, when you start to fill in some text in here, it will automatically rename the object based on the text that's inside. So here it's text1, but as we enter in some text, it will rename it the same as the contents of this, but it will also tell you what type of object it is. That's mostly so that when you're here in the actions, you can tell what's going on and what type of object it is, so that you don't confuse two objects that have a similar name because they have this prefix. If you don't want that, of course, you can always come in here and rename the object to whatever you want, and then it will keep that name. The next new feature will be a great time saver for a lot of people. So if we wanted this button to not start visible, in the past we would have to come over here to the start visible property and set it from true to false. Now we can simply right click on the object and we can see whether it's starting visible or not, and we can also click on it to turn on or off the start visible. So now the start visible is off. If I click on it, that gray check mark will turn into a blue check mark. So it's a quick way of toggling start visible property on or off. As a reminder, the start visible property is the one that affects whether something is shown when the page loads. The next new feature is the ability to move layers and stacks using the arrow keys. So here we have a page with our stacks and some layers that are a little off center. So we can quickly go to a particular layer, such as this one, and if we don't select anything, or if we select the layer itself and use our arrow keys, we can move this entire set of objects up without having to select everything. Similarly, we can do that with an entire stack. We can select the stack and use our arrow keys to move objects. If we use it on the stack, we'll get this little warning. You can turn that on or off if you want. So there we go. This is now sort of centered on the page, and it moved everything in our base layer as well as all of these individual layers as well. The next new feature is a minor one, but you might find it useful. We've added a reveal left, right, top, and bottom for the transitions, both showing and hiding, and those can be set in the actions or as a property on the object. So if we were to preview this and we click the button, you can add a little pizzazz to your lesson that way. The next new feature is the character object. So here we already have two character objects added. Let's go ahead and add a third just so that we can see how it works. So I'm going to select the character object over here, and we'll insert a new one off to the right. From here, we can double click to select a character, and we can browse the sample character library, which just has a subset of these different characters, or we can go ahead and download the full character library for each of these different characters. So right now I have Elena, Pete, and Brian downloaded, but I could download any of these other ones, either Luis or these cartoonized versions of them. In this case, we will load in a couple of Elena images. So here we can select the pose that we want, and we can either choose from a headshot, a half pose, or the full body image. So in this case, we'll go with half, and we will insert that. And then if we want to, we can also add another state. So we'll click the plus up here, and we can choose a different pose and insert it. And then from there, we can use actions to either go to a state by the index, so either 1 or 2, or by name. And we can change the names up here in the properties. So let's go ahead and add another state here for Elena. So we'll go ahead and add a plus, and then we'll choose this one here. And then if we want to, we can rename the state. And then perhaps after a few seconds, after the page loads, we can tell character 1 to go to state by name, explain. So here after 3 seconds, it switches to a different state. So feel free to use any of these characters in the library for your e-learning purposes. The next new feature is a new template. It's the Learn and Test software simulation template. This is great because you can just set up a single software simulation and have the learners go through the Learn mode, where they can explore, or the test mode, where they're graded and have limited hints. So here we can go through here and we can get as many hints as we want with step-by-step instructions, or we can go back to the menu and go through the test mode where they're actually graded on this with a limited number of hints. We have a full video tutorial on this, so go check that out under Help Video Tutorials. The next new feature is regarding quizzes. So here we have a quiz controller with 3 questions that come after it. And if we open up the template wizard, there's a new option here to allow a review mode. So when you check that, you can choose to delay question feedback until reviewing, which means that people will go through and answer each question, but they won't view the feedback yet. It will automatically suppress that feedback until they go back through it in review mode. So let's see how that works. So the quiz controller loads up, we click begin, we get our first question. We'll go ahead and answer this one incorrectly. And this question template normally has some feedback in it, but the quiz settings will override it and automatically just show the next question. So here's our next question. We'll get this one correct. And then here we will get this one incorrect. So this is asking for shock absorbers. We'll click on this portion back here. So it tells us we didn't pass, but we can review the answers. And here we can see, whoops, the sky is not green, but apparently according to this question it is. And then we can go back to here, or we can go to the next question and see what the correct answers are. So here we can see the final feedback for that. And then if we click next, it will return back to here. So if we take a look at question 1, we can open up this template wizard and fix the correct answer. But also this is currently set to show feedback by question, and whatever custom feedback we provide, the quiz controller is overriding displaying that feedback and holding it until later when they're in review mode. So that's it for the major enhancements inside of SmartBuilder. There's also a few other ones, so check out the release notes. But the last major enhancement is to the Smart Tracker Learner view. So here I am on this organization's student login page. So we're going to go ahead and log in. And here we can now see either all of the lessons that are available to this user. We can see anything that's assigned to their team, as well as just shared within the organization. We can see what team this user is part of. And we can also see lessons that are assigned to this team that have not yet been started. So this intro to sample lesson is available to me here to launch. I can also see lessons that might be in progress but have not yet been completed. So they're under the started category. And then finally, we can also see which lessons we have completed, along with the score that was earned and the time that it was completed. And if they choose to, they can relaunch it as well. We hope you found this useful. Be sure to check out the full release notes for other minor enhancements. Happy authoring!